Hey, this is the Hankster here, and welcome to a special video dedicated to the passing of one actor known as Christopher Lee. In his long acting career, he of course has played mostly the villains, and of course most notably his most immortal role, of course, was playing the role of Count Dracula in the Hammer horror films, playing opposite Peter Cushing's Van Helsing. Now, of course, it's also interesting that even though these two would not reunite in another series of movies, I'm talking about Star Wars, they did share Star Wars in that sense. Peter Cushing played Governor Tarkin in Episode 4, New Hope, while, of course, Christopher Lee took on the role of Count Dooku in Episodes 2 and 3. We'll be getting to that role shortly. Another notable role, even though I never really saw it, but he of course played the Man with the Golden Gun, notable James Bond movie. Of course, most people in the younger generations might know him more as Saruman in the J.R.R. Tolkien movies. That, of course, is the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies. He's the formerly good wizard who turned his alliances to Sauron to gain his own power in this supposed new age. And of course, as I said earlier, he of course also took at the same time, of course, took on the role of Count Dooku in Episodes 2 and 3 of the prequel trilogy. Which I kind of think that basically Count Dooku is basically Star Wars' version of Count Dracula, being that they were both aristocrats. They both were both considered heroes until they turned to the dark side. Dracula becomes a vampire, and Dooku becomes a Sith Lord. Of course, one of the ways to kill a vampire is to decapitate him, and that's what happens to Dooku in Episode 3. One notable thing about Dooku, by the way, that was only expressed in the books, he was also kind of a racist, in the sense of being pro-human and anti-alien, not in the sense of, race, in the sense of different groups of humans. It was just different group. He was pro-human, being in charge of the government rather than multicultural or multi-racial angle, in a sense of aliens and humans working together. If you ever read the book or even had the audiobook version of Revenge of the Sith, that kind of delves more into Dooku's personality there. But it was not. Of course, he of course is the one. Of course, takes on Yoda in Episode 2, even though in the actual filming it was a stuntman with Christopher Lee's face digitally enhanced onto his face. So, that was pretty interesting. Want to make one note that, of course, as I said, he is most notable playing a lot of well-known villains in movies. There was one movie that he did take on in around the early 80s, which was, of course, a horror movie, and I kind of consider this as a dark hero. He was a good guy, but he certainly had some sort of mysterious vibe behind him, and he kind of got weird at the very end. He plays this benefactor who helps out the two lead characters in taking on the werewolves in Howling 2, My Sister is a Werewolf. And of course, these group of werewolves, a pack of werewolves, are being commanded by Sybil Danning. And of course, they do allude to in the movie that he has some sort of history with her. Of course, we find out at the end that they are brother and sister. We don't know if Christopher Lee's character is a werewolf or whatever, but we don't. He has his own magic. He has his own power behind him that takes on Sybil Danning's character, even though they do wind up killing each other at the very end. The movie itself is, if you ever see it, it's kind of dark, and graphically violent, and the sex. And there is a lot of sex and nudity in it, but it's kind of tasteless. It's kind of even though you do see Sybil Danning naked in it, but and Christopher Lee, of course, as I said, passed away. A combination of heart problems and respiratory problems today. He was 93. Whatever role you liked him in, either as Dracula or Saruman or Man with the Golden Gun or Count Dooku, he will be greatly missed in the world of Hollywood, and will probably be honored in a lot of news outlets in the next few days. So I just want to give you my little tribute to Christopher Lee, and stay tuned here for more reviews and whatnot here on the MulToyverse. See ya.